I'm just doing a course. I'm just doing a community. I'm just doing coaching. That's not even the best way to do it. You need to have levels for everyone, because there's going to be people that will pay you $50. There's people that will pay you $50,000.
I think one of the biggest cons is just failure. When you go into this, or when I went into this, like, oh, everyone who works with me is going to be successful. That's just how it's going to be.
Those are like the big 4 skills: content, copy, sales, and creation. That's probably the biggest 4 skills you can even have on the online world. So making an offer and getting the audience and selling it, you're stacking skills that can take you literally anywhere.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment Podcast. What are we doing today?
We're doing episode 3 of the Blueprint series, breaking down businesses, business models, that type of thing. First one we did UGC, AIP, TikTok Shop, that whole thing. Last one we did ecom products, and today we're doing my personal favorite, although this is the most hate that we give on anything, info products. And this is going to be really difficult. We were just talking about this, to stay away from the personal brand altogether, because I just don't want to conflate the two, because you technically don't really have to have a personal brand to sell an info product. I want to kind of separate those, but there's the info product thing's so big, it can do its own. Then we'll do a personal branding one in the future, but mainly focused on info products today. I'll give a little breakdown of this, and then I have a very important thing to break down to give context about everything we talk about. And this should really give people context about everything. I think it's one of the most important things that people hear when it refers to all these business models or whatever. First off, we'll just explain this. Info product business, selling information, transformation, or skill acquisitions via courses, memberships, coaching, digital downloads, masterminds, that type of thing. You can do this on Gumroad, Shopify, your own site, Instagram, TikTok. You can literally do it in the DMs there, text people. You make money by building an audience or paying for traffic for your offer via ads, affiliates, that type of thing. And usually it's solo operators, but you can have a small team. You can have a big team. And it's good for people who want to be the face or the authority. And we'll go over this episode, the pros, cons, etc. But before that, I want to give this little thing that had me thinking last night. I want to break down 3 things. And I hate to start this with Amazon, but most of people watching will probably come from that. So this is just a good example. Let's just break down Amazon FBA, your own brand, a Shopify brand, and then an info product. And I'm not talking about exits. I'm not talking about any external factors. Let's just talk about getting to $50,000 profit a month and break down the numbers here. Because last episode, I was editing these clips yesterday, and you were talking about that big thing of breaking down the math and stuff. And I was like, this is very important. Unfortunately, it was so long, I couldn't put it into a really short clip, but I was like, man, this is very important for people to think about. So I made this today. Let's say the average FBA you're running this business is $25 for your average sale price, which I think is probably around average. Might be smaller, but a lot of those are private label. But I know, average $25. Your net margin after your fees is 10%, which I think is relatively generous these days. I know people that run 7% business, but we're going to go 10%. To hit 50K profit, you need $500,000 revenue a month, which is $6 million a year. And you need to sell 20,000 units a month. And if you break that down, 666 orders daily. Your working capital needs to be around $200,000 to $300,000 a month with credit and capital, whatever you have all together. Think about that. Well, let's move to a Shopify brand or your own brand. I'm guessing you could do this on Amazon private label as well. Say you sell a product that's $60 and you have a 20% margin. To hit 50K profit, you need $250,000 a month, and you need 4,167 units a month, or 139 orders a day of a $60 product. And think about what a $60 product is. I can't really, a microphone. Let's say you have a decent microphone. This microphone we use, I think, is $60. So let's say they produce that for whatever. Let's say they just make a 20% net margin at the end. 139 of those microphones a day. And then I don't know the working capital number for that, but I would say it's probably around like $60,000 to $100,000, maybe a little less. Probably. Now let's talk about info products and why all the people on social media are telling you to do all this other stuff, but why they're doing info products. Let's say your average sale is $5,000, which is pretty basic for an info product. And this can go up to $10,000 more. We'll talk about this later on, but let's say it's $5,000 and your net margin is 95%. You pay Stripe, I don't know, you lose a few percent for something random you're doing. To hit 50K profit, you need $52,600 revenue a month, and you need approximately 11 sales a month, or 2 to 3 per week. 2 to 3 human beings per week. And if we break that math down even more, what does that even mean? Like, you can go out in the street and try to pitch 2 or 3 people. Maybe it's not like that, but let's say this podcast, let's say on average that we are getting 500 viewers. We're not on average that, but that's like a decent episode. And we do a terrible job and we have a 0.5% conversion rate. Only 0.5% of people trust us at all. That's 2.5 people. That's the goal. That's hitting the goal. If we do a terrible job, we have 0.5% of all the audience that watch this podcast, we will sell 2.5 per week, basically, and you hit your number of $50,000 a month. So that was long drawn out. I hate that I talked for 3 minutes, but I thought that was very important because it's just been on my mind of like, no wonder everybody's doing this stuff. Like these are the numbers, guys. This is like, what's the reality of this stuff, of how much simpler it is to do that rather than grow this massive Amazon or massive Shopify or these other platforms. You have a 95% margin. You can sell $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 product. It's a pretty good argument there.
Yeah, for sure. That you did a ton of math for this episode.
Locked in.
I 100% agree with you, and the math on it is just insane. Like capital wise. Now, I guess the hard part becomes, as what we were talking about actually before we started this podcast, is what do you have to offer? That's where it becomes like, why would someone pay you $5,000? And we could get into that later. But I think a lot of people, have been on my mind. And so for those who may be listening before or just don't know, we both sold info. Drew has sold a lot more than I have. We both bought a lot of info. We probably bought together probably over $100,000. Like through the easy. We've spent we've done courses, we've sold high ticket coaching, we've had free groups, like we've done it all. So we have a pretty good grip on this. And more importantly, we know a lot of people who sell info and have some, it's called back of the napkin math, based on what they've said to us. So I do agree with you. When you break down the numbers, if I had to go all over again, I would definitely lean into info.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you break down the numbers like that, it's actually ridiculous because you understand, like, dude, could you have, how long would it take you to get to $500,000 a month on Amazon or start a $250,000 a month brand with a $60 product is generous as well. Like you don't buy a lot of stuff on the internet for 60. I don't, unless I need it, like really, really need it. But like impulse purchases, $25 or less. So I'd say most brands overall are around that. You understand how much of a difference it is to do that? And then not only are you selling a 100 times more expensive product or around that, maybe even more, your margin is like 50% more. It's just really ridiculous. And there's more complexities to sell and info stuff, which we'll get on to this. We'll do the normal format of these episodes, but when you break down the math, it's ridiculous. And I want people to know too, this is one of the biggest reasons I stopped selling Amazon is because I made the money with info and I realized, whoa, there's something to this info thing. And I don't want to keep selling Amazon info because I found that hypocritical at the time. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. And that's what I did for like a year. I tried to, failed a lot, but I mean, that's comes with some of these cons that we'll talk about and things like that. But I'm still very, very pro info overall.
And I think what you're talking about with the conversion numbers, I think a lot of people don't understand how much people actually make with info. It's more like, oh, they sell on Amazon. Oh, they probably sell like a couple, how many people actually buy that or whatever. But if you want to get like some idea, I would say you could look at someone's like Facebook group size and kind of like assume like maybe that's not everyone on their email list, but just general-ish. I think if you took like 1% or 0.5% times it by that, that's almost what they're probably converting. So if they have a $300 thing, let's just say 300 people buy that. Is that 90 grand?
Yep.
Yeah, 90 grand. Like, that's insane. So, like, I don't think that's too far fetched if you have like a $50,000 or 50,000 person Facebook group for 300 people to fork over 300, because that's on the way, way low end, I would say, of most info. And that's 90 grand. Like that's absolutely, like, wrap your head around that. I think most people make 45, 50 grand if they're lucky, maybe not. And on top of that, I heard a stat the other day that if someone pays you probably know more than I do about this, like $300, they're willing to pay you, like a certain percent is willing to pay you, I think 2 or 3 times that amount on a higher ticket, and you keep leveraging that up. So if you pay 300, 900, then the people who pay 900, you could do 2,700, and so on and so forth.
Yep. Yep. That's like, I don't know the exact numbers and like the math on it, but yeah, I know that's true. It's like it's just crazy getting all this math. Well, let's do the normal format. Let's do pros first.
Okay.
Low barrier to entry. You can create the offer with like minimal capital. Now, the problem with it is what you said. What do you sell? And everybody thinks they have anything, but you do have stuff inherently in you. You've done something in your life. No inventory or physical product headaches. You have high margins, often 70%, 95% plus, maybe 70% or so if you have team ads, that type of thing, or 95% if you have no ads, you're running solo, what me and John both did. Scalable via ads and organic content. So it's kind of infinitely scalable. Now, fulfillment is not, but you just hire coaches and you can hire different ways to do it. And I'm just talking about, I guess, coaching, but you do courses that is literally infinitely scalable. Any human on the earth can buy your course and you can just keep giving it to them. Highly flexible. So you can sell a bunch of different products. You don't have to just sell a course. You don't have to just sell membership. Everybody thinks this. They try to pigeonhole themselves in like, I'm just doing a course. I'm just doing a community. I'm just doing coaching. That's not even the best way to do it. You need to have like levels for everyone because there's going to be people that will pay you $50. There's people that will pay you $50,000. You have to try to touch these points in between. And it positions you as an expert. So it can lead to fame, speaking, consulting, that type of thing. So those are the pros that I can think of off the top of my head and that I wrote down before this.
Yeah, I would say I would add to that real quick. If you've been thinking about hiring a virtual assistant but don't know where to start, VA Fastlane makes the process dead simple. They just don't throw you a random VA. They actually line up 4 highly qualified candidates based on the skill level you need. Whether it's online arbitrage, wholesale, or whatever business model you're running, they got you covered. Then you interview the ones you like and pick the best fit. No guessing, no generic VAs who don't even know anything about Amazon. And it works whether you're just starting out or running a full-blown operation. They offer both part-time, 20 hours a week, and full-time, 40 hours a week.
Plus, they've already placed over 140 VAs for Amazon sellers, and they offer free unlimited replacements. So if someone isn't the right fit down the line, you're covered. It's run by Carter Maxwell. You've heard of him on the show, and he's built a team so dialed in, he only spends 4 to 5 hours a week on his own Amazon business. So if you're ready to scale with a VA who's trained, proven, and backed by a solid system, book a free call at the link below and talk to Carter. And make sure to ask about the special offer for the Side Hustle Experiment listeners.
It's basically I think one of the coolest parts about it is you could literally change someone's life. Like we've shit a lot on Amazon, but we've both like obviously saw other people sell on Amazon. Now I don't have a job. I haven't had a job for 5 or 6 years. So yeah, I guess thinking you could change someone's life as being a coach, like people who reach out to me or even, when someone says, hey, we watched your podcast, it helped us pivot from selling on Amazon, or it got me thinking I should double down and it worked out for me or whatever. It just feels really good. So I think you could literally change someone's life, which I think is probably one of the biggest pros. You could really have an impact on someone's life.
Personal fulfillment. Yeah, huge amount. Which as a con, it can also cause personal explosion, but we'll talk about the cons. You're the face of it. So, you can't stay anonymous. So you have to be out there. Your stuff has to be out there, and very difficult to sell the brand. People do that. They pivot, like Jim Launch had Hormozy and he pivoted to sell that thing, and they still use his, I guess, face on ads or whatever. I don't know how that all worked out, but it's difficult to sell a personal brand like that. You can't actually sell your personal brand. You can just sell the company that you create around it, like a Mr. Beast type of situation as well. And for an info product, I don't know. That would be really tough. Would you sell your course to another coach and they can brand your course now? I don't even know if that would be possible at all, which is a huge con. Skill barrier, you must know how to sell and teach, and you have to figure out how to do all this ideation of the offer, which is very tough because people are asking about all the time of like how you even make this offer. That's like half the battle. I created what you want on the spot the other day, but it's like, if you don't know how to do that, you're going to end up doing something that's not good and it's really hard, and then you're going to end up quitting it. We've all been there. So I've done the same thing. Saturation in many niches everybody's got, and everybody has access, low barrier to entry. Every time you have a low barrier to entry, you're going to have saturation. That's just typical. But you have this creativity aspect, same with the content type stuff that you can change. You could have a high refund rate if you are a scammer. And that's about it. Oh yeah, the personal explosion, which I'm sure you like talking about that. So you can talk about that con of that end of it. The opposite of what you said with a pro, because they're both. It's both pro and con.
So I would say a couple cons that come to my mind is one, it's super stressful. Depending on a lot of people who will come. I remember we never worked with this person because we turned them down, but we were doing high ticket coaching. It was like, I think it was $3,000. And this person's like, I have like $3,000 left on a credit card. Like, I need you guys to make this work for me. And we're like, dude, like, no. So a lot of people sometimes will come to you like super desperate, looking for you to be like their savior. And that's just really hard because there's no guarantee, number one. Number two, I think another hard part is you think everyone is like you. Like, I'm not propping us up or anything like that, but if I'm gonna do something like really hard or for a period of my life, I expect to work like 60 hours a week. Like, most people would be like, what? Like, you can't, I only have an hour. Like, I can't do a $50,000 business a month, like in an hour. It's like, no. Like, and it all depends on how you market it as well. So I think unrealistic expectations come to mind. And then I think one of the hardest parts is probably why we don't coach. It's just really hard. You're basically repeating the same shit over and over and over again. And it's important, but like you can kind of be creative, but you constantly have this like battle in your head. It's like, I've already said this. If I've already said this, are they not listening? Am I not getting it across correctly? Like, what is the deal here? You're just constantly like spinning your wheels to say like the same stuff all the time. And I think one of the biggest cons is just failure. Like, when you go into this, or when I went into this, like, oh, everyone who works with me is going to be successful. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Because like when I take a course, like I do all the work, I do this or that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you don't realize that when you offer coaching, and then you just have this constant like imposter syndrome if you give a shit, which is just really, really hard. I think for me personally, you're like, damn, this person paid me $3,000. They're not sure why are 10 people paid $3,000. Let's just say, why do only 2 show up to the call? Like, where is everyone else? Like, why aren't they doing this? Are they listening to the replay? Like, am I doing a bad job? And it just becomes really, really hard to keep showing up and be like, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? So I think there's a lot of that as a con. And I think another con, which I've never been in this situation, but you get so much money selling the current thing you're selling. And if the opportunity kind of goes to shit, how do you throw away all this money? Like, the opportunity is not that great anymore, but like you still push it. I think that's probably hard for most people as well.
Yeah, really, if you're not like a psychopath, a lot of this stuff gets difficult. Or you just like can constantly pivot. Like I talk about Ty Lopez a lot on here, but people hate Ty Lopez. I'm a big fan of Ty Lopez because I think he's produced good products. He hasn't went to jail yet. He's just constantly switching because I think that's how his personality is, which is another big part of this. Like, I think part of the reason, me and you both kind of crashed out on info, and Grant Landon talked about how everybody crashes out on their info stuff. It's because that we didn't build it correctly. And most people don't build it because they're like, I want to do this personal thing one-on-one with these people. But dude, you can't have 700 friends. And if you're going to grow a massive info business, you're going to have like 500, 700 people. But you can't have 700 best friends. Like, imagine you did that in real life. You'd lose your mind, like. So it's the same type of thing. You can't spend so much one-on-one time. All the mentorship, almost everybody that I mentor that stuck around the whole time, I still talk to them. I get on calls with them like every few weeks to still talk to them. But that's probably why I crashed out, because I'm just like being friends with these people. It's like, yeah, you can only be friends with so many that you can't give enough attention to certain. It's just really, really tough. So that con is big, and that is like a big downside of success. But most people, you don't need to worry about that. These cons we're talking about, that's the more negative stuff like that. You got to work on selling a product first, and then you worry about crashing out over it. You're going to crash out over it and like stop. So get started before you stop, and think that, don't be deterred by me and you saying this, I think, because we're still very bullish on it. Like we do think it's like one of the best, maybe the best opportunity aside from just like selling a big company or whatever.
For sure. And I think one of the biggest cons as well, it depends on what you are teaching. but you ultimately kill your business / kill your edge. Like a great example is Amazon. Like you have to give away the secrets or whatever. Like you just can't be like, oh, keep looking, keep looking. You're gonna be like, hey, this is how you get engaged at Nike. Hey, this is how you use the Kohl's Cash. And then when you're giving all this stuff away, what does that leave you with? Number one. And then number two, if you don't set it up right, I've been here before. You're like, I'm going to offer coaching. Like, it's only, we're doing 2 calls a week. It's not going to affect my business. My business, like, just nosedive. Like, because it just takes up so much mental bandwidth, so much capacity. Like, and a lot of what you do, well, I've had a YouTube channel, obviously, but you're teaching or something comes up. And we were just talking about a video I sent to him, and it's just like usually you do a video, you always have something to talk about because you're actively doing the thing, and something always pops up, but then can't necessarily talk to that about to your coaching students because like now you're killing your edge, so you're constantly have to be ahead of them, but they still have to be behind you, so you have to have this like tricky balance so you don't kill your business. And then you're like, well, it's only 10 people. But guys, like, when you're selling Amazon, like 3 people on a listing versus 13 now, it's cooked. And then now they have your storefront. It just becomes like this big mess. And that's why I feel like a lot of people who teach it don't really sell because they'd be cooked. Like they'd just be losing money.
Yep, 100%. Well, on to the upsides of this, which is, follows along the pros a little bit, but kind of more bigger upsides. And then we'll talk about some bigger downsides of just like, best case scenario, worst case scenario. I hate to do it's weird. I'm doing pros and cons and then upsides and downsides. It's like the same thing, but I'll have to word the upside and downsides better. Cause I feel like maybe best case scenario, worst case scenario is maybe a better way to do this. Like what's your biggest success thing? Or what's your biggest fear?
Best case, worst case, I think probably good.
Yeah, we'll do that. Well, instead of upsides, this is the segment of the show is now best case scenario. That's the new one. So main thing is your infinite leverage to sell the same product over and over. That's so massive. And you don't have to have more time or more cost to do that, where an inventory or things like that, or so let's say a service-based business, you need more time, you need more employees. With product business, you need more inventory and you need more ad spend. With this stuff, you could technically, especially if you do a group coaching type thing, as many of you probably know a lot of guys in the spaces that you are in, like Amazon space especially. If you set it up right, you can just group coach to 800 people, 1,000 people. Doesn't really matter. You're saying the same information. You set it up correctly. So infinite leverage, literally. Can bolt on high ticket offers, masterminds. So you can, like I said before, I think you could start with, okay, I'm going to sell a $47 guide to do stuff. But then you're like, okay, well now I'm going to make a $99 community on top of this guide. And then boom, I'm going to make a $5,000 coaching offer on top of that. And I want to get really into that later in this podcast of like how all that stuff works, but not at the moment. And then you have recurring revenue if you do it that way. I think a lot of that's a bit of a myth. Everybody talks about, I want to have recurring revenue. We've heard this so many times on the pod. And they're like, yeah, I want to do like $50 a month. If I get this many people, it's like, dude, that's recurring revenue is cool. But let's say you do $50 a month for somebody, they have to stay with you 12 months, which is probably not going to happen. And they only pay you $600. If you just got $5,000 out of them, now you have 10x almost what you. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You're going to keep them in your program for 10 years? No, not at all. So high ticket makes more sense there. And then you build an asset that compounds over time. The more followers you get, the more people see your authority, and the more people follow you. It's just infinite scalability like that, because the more views you have, more followers you have, more people are going to view your stuff, and more people are going to follow you. Just snowballs.
Yeah, I think best case for most people is you're able to basically, and we see like there's one, I'm not going to say who they are, but they have done this where it's like one guy and there's like 5 guys below him that learn from him and they coach, and then it kind of just stems down. I think that's your absolute best case, and you're kind of just, yeah, you'll go to a couple of the calls or maybe not, but you're basically like the face of it, and then you have students below you and they kind of teach, and that doesn't like burn you out. So I think that's probably the ultimate best case. And just knowing, like, that sounds so far away, but a lot of people end up doing that.
Yeah, and
it's the only way to scale it, really.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to get into after this, but I want to get through these segments first. Let's talk about downsides, because there's really nothing on the aside from what we talked about of those like crashing out type things. But you posting content trying to start an offer, I don't. There's no downside. You could get on CoffeeZilla, I guess, but you're not going to get that off the front. So like, there's no. You just post content, you offer something to the public, and then if no one likes it, they're just not going to watch your stuff, and they're going to say no. If you the fear of rejection, if you can get over that, it literally there's nothing else that would be a big downside. You can't lose money unless you just start off. I'm going to push $1,000 a day into ads. Yeah, don't do that. But even then, you could maybe end up making money if you have a high ticket product. You only have to close one person every 4 days. If $1,000 a day, if you do the math on it, it's just kind of ridiculous. But maybe you have more downsides that you can think of.
The only downside I could think of if you're not going to go the paid route is you got to build, like, you got to be good at making content, or you got to be out there almost every day being helpful or being in the community or whatever. So I guess you're going to have to do that. And then probably if your content's not super great, you're going to have to be good at sales to kind of convince someone to do this. I think it's really hard. The only thing that's probably the biggest downside, which obviously we kind of struggle with as well, is figuring out what you're going to offer. Like, what is worth that, and like how to build content around that, and kind of when I would kind of say not a downside, but like worst case is like and I've been there. You just constantly make content and then you never offer anything, and then that opportunity kind of like subsides and it's kind of too late, or it's just not as good of an opportunity. So I think that's almost worst case. And you're always like kind of afraid to ask, and I've definitely been there before. So I think that's almost worst case. You just make content to make content, and then you never end up monetizing or just feel like scammy about it. So I think that's almost the worst case.
Yeah. There's not a bunch of huge like worst cases aside from these like small things. I think the upside is just like insane. That's why it's my favorite. That's why I'm most into it. And another big part of this, I didn't add this as a pro, but on the skill level, for you to create an offer and to sell the offer and build an audience and all this stuff, it requires like a lot of systems that are very, very valuable skills. For one, you have to build the offer, and you figuring out how to build an offer. You might think that's like not a hard thing to do. It is hard because it takes a lot of like, okay, how's the math work on this? What's going to cause the most work? How is this going to scale in the future? Because if you can't build that, it's just going to keep setting you back to zero every time, because you're going to have to rebuild the whole offer, which eventually you'll have to almost no matter what you do. But you want to start with something that makes a little bit of mathematical sense. Then you get an audience. So you're learning how to make content. You have to be a trustworthy person. If you can't do that, no one's going to even see you. So that's a skill in itself, is how to make good content. And then you have to write good copy. You're going to have to write and tell people on your website or whatever, unless they just go straight from content to sales call, which is probably unlikely. You're going to have some type of like written persuasiveness that gets them in there. And then you have a sales call, which is hard on its own. You have to know how to sell stuff, which is not easy. That's a really big skill. But if you can get all those skills, and then you fulfillment, which is, probably the least of the worries, really. You just teach what you do. Those are big skills. Those are like the big 4 skills: content, copy, sales, and creation. I don't know. That's probably the biggest 4 skills you can even have on the online world. So making an offer and getting the audience and selling it, you're stacking skills that can take you literally anywhere. You can do it. You can start a product, a brand on your own, because you know all these skills that translate to everything. So that's a massive pro that I think most people don't really talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely so difficult to build out like something that's really good. It's easy. One of I think the downsides too is it's not downsides, but depending on how you target or whatever, you're not working with the same people. Like who you bring in, they have all these different problems. So if I do keep a video, like some people don't know how to read a graph. Other people know how to read a graph, so they're bored and they're like, this isn't helpful. So you got to like cater to a lot of different audiences, but then they also paid you a lot of money. So you're constantly in this, like, is this too general? Or is this too much? Like, where is the line go? And that's kind of probably why a lot of people do like weekly calls or monthly calls, because you get like that one-on-one. But I do think building out the offer and doing the marketing, probably like one of the hardest parts for sure. Because you're just basically trying to take something, you're basically trying to take what you did and show everyone else how to do it. But how you do it isn't also logical to the people that are going to come in, I guess, or they don't
Yeah, they
have
don't
the same
understand.
skill set. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
hard. But that's also why they paid you. So it's kind of like this weird thing.
Yeah. And I think most people listen to this if you're interested in this info thing, or maybe you're a person that thinks like, I'm not capable of doing that. I'm not good enough at something. Maybe you're an Amazon seller and you do 12K a month and you're like, well, that's just not enough. I don't know enough to do it. There are like two different buckets you can be in, like big buckets here. You can be like a mass appeal, Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozy, Andrew Tate type person who sells kind of everything to people. Hormozy doesn't do that, but he kind of does. He makes content about business. Okay, you don't have to be them. You're not going to be them. Likely, you're not going to be some super famous person that can get all this money like this. You want to be a super, super niche person, for example. And I see this. This is where I see Amazon coaches go wrong is they all have the exact same sales message of this is the easiest way to make money online. You go to the store, you scan products and you sell them. It's like, dude, that message is so played out that you've got to change the message. Amazon's not going to change, but you have to change what people perceive this Amazon thing as. Of like, I remember saying this. I used this as a marketing thing and something I did. Of here's how you can buy things that you love and sell them for more. Of like, okay, I'm into pre-workouts. So we're only going to find pre-workouts that you find already cheap because you're shopping for pre-workouts and you're going to try to sell them in a marketplace that's higher, which is Amazon. So you see how like that flip, that makes it seems like it's a different business model, but it's not. It's the exact same business model, except for one guy is saying, go to Marshall's and scan stuff or go to x.com and look at the clearance. Yeah, dude, that's so played out. Like everybody said that. You have to change the person's view of the whole business model, which I don't know what my whole point of was there, but yeah, for people like, yeah, that's the small niche thing. Like you can sell anything. You can
Yeah.
be someone like it's just the possibilities are literally infinite of like what people buy horse coaching and dog coaching and things like this. Like if you look at how many offers are on Facebook, go on Facebook and just start trying to get your algorithm into like info product offers. You'll be amazed. It's just like so much different stuff here that you're like, people pay for that. Yeah, they pay a lot of money for it. People pay $5,000 for stuff. You'd be like, there's no way people are paying for it. But everyone has problems and they need these solutions and they need transformation. So they'll pay to get the transformation, or at least think they're getting it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's all about the messaging. And I think that's probably one of the hardest parts too of doing it. It's like, how can you almost show them that they can make money, present it as easy, but also it's not that easy. Like you're constantly doing that back and forth bounce. So I think that's kind of one of the cons. But I do think anyone can really sell anything. So for example, you said, oh, the person doing $12,000. Well, they're making $1,000 most likely, depending on the month. So basically, you could show someone how to make $1,000 on it.
Yep.
Like you might be saying, these other people are saying, hey, how to make $50,000 a month. Well, not everyone wants to make $50,000 a month either. So you could do it, or you got to take it the other way, which I think is Raken does a really good job of this. I'm making X, only working 4 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a whole team that's done this for me. I have it built out. So I think you could do it the other way. He has like good numbers, but I guess if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're making an extra $1,000 working 5 hours a week, well, like someone probably wants to work 5 hours a week to make $1,000. So you could teach that part of it. I think that's kind of where I went wrong. Instead of being like, hey, this is what I did, you're trying to teach like something you think. I think a lot of people think, well, no one wants what I'm doing. Like, and I've run into this with the influencer program when people like DM me, they're like, and don't do this. They're like, how much are you making? And they're like, holy shit, like, really? And I'm like, oh, I guess this is like on the higher end of what other people are doing. Like, it just didn't occur to me. Or like, I think everyone has 3,000 videos. Well, like, that's not even the case. So I think you get caught in your head. It's like, well, once I get to like these 10 or 15K months, then I'll do something. But then sometimes that's just so far ahead, and like they're like, well, he has 5,000 videos. Like that's like I'm not gonna do that. So I think it's constantly finding the balance of like how to market it, how to package it, but still be like true and real about it.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about on this stuff, and I don't know, but one day on this podcast, I'll get into detail about this, but maybe not super into detail yet. But one thing that happened that most people, maybe some of you guys don't know this, but I ran a seminar April of, I don't know, like, was it last year or 2 years ago now? I think it was, no, it's 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
I think so. Maybe it was last year. I don't remember. But I did this, and I had so many people message me, coaches and other people of like, dude, this is a genius offer. Like, how'd you even come up with this? Like, what'd you think about it? And I just pieced together stuff I'd saw in other spaces. And I'm like, I think I can like juice this out before I leave. This is my exit of Amazon. And there was a guy that commented on the thing. This guy had ironically been on a sales call with me before. So I don't know why he was like hating on me like that. Well, he was trying to hate, but he didn't really. But he was like, oh, this is cool. You're going to make $100,000 off this thing and then you're going to dip. Like, why are people even paying you? And I was like, he's hating on me, but ironically, he's like my biggest fan because I didn't think I was going to make $100,000 and I did not, by the way. But that guy thought, okay, this guy has enough pull and this offer is good enough to where I can make $100,000. But all that sums up to say, I did make a lot of money on that, like high five figures on it. And it took me 2 weeks of work, which it took me years of work to establish all this stuff. But 2 weeks of marketing it, I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. Now I could probably make $200,000, $500,000 from something like that. But at the time I didn't have anything bolted on. My offer was just the offer. I didn't have any back end things. Although people I worked with were like, you've got to sell a recurring thing, or you got to get people into this with a cheaper thing. All these things like, no, I just want to do the flat thing. That's going to be the uniqueness of the offer. But this one little bit of thing made me enough money to where I could sustain a year of my life. And plus, I already had a bunch of money before that. But that's all it takes in this info stuff. It's so powerful because all the money you collect, you just get it and you're good to go. We had Grant Lennon, that's the most popular podcast. The way he works his stuff, he'll take a year, 2, 3 years off or whatever. Come on, make a ton of money in a short period of time and then dip for a few more years, just live off that money. And if you continue to build your personal brand, you're good at all these skills, you can literally just show up somewhere, market your stuff, you know how to do it correctly, make a few 6 figures and dip. Same with a lot of the guys I've seen, bigger guys in this space. It's like the Alan Sultanic guy that I talked about all the time that I learned a lot of this marketing from. He was like, I try to get 10 years of living expenses every time I start an offer. I'll start my offer, I'll get 10 years of living expenses, and he lives in a nice place. It's millions of dollars on this offer. And then it's done. And then, okay, now I'm just going to take X amount of years off and I'll come back and do something else and just sustain the personal brand. Now he's building a really big platform. It's different. He's trying to work every day and not take time off like that. But that's how he thought about it before too. And I noticed a lot of the info guys are like that. It's just like juice this out for a little bit, make all this money, leave. Nothing else allows you to do that. You cannot do that. You can't get on Amazon and say, okay, hey, John, I'm going to do $300K profit this month on Amazon that I'm not going to sell anymore. Yeah, dude, how am I going to do that? Do I have $1 million at my disposal to spend on products? Like, it just would be impossible, or any other business model for that matter. You can't just, well, I guess you can on TikTok shop or whatever, but not really. You can't just every few months make one TikTok shop video and it pops off. It's not the way it works. You have to have your own offer. You have to control your own traffic and you have to have your own offer. You have to have the systems in place. But it's just crazy that so much money can be made in such short period of time. And then if you even it out from the months, you're making a ton of money per month. So you don't even work those other months, which is like the biggest, I don't know, my favorite part about all this, why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, I like that kind of model too. And I was just like thinking back to the math we did at the beginning of the podcast and just thinking about if you had a high ticket offer and you sold it for 5K, we'll just relate it back to reselling because most of you guys resell. If you could just take 2 seconds and subscribe to this YouTube channel, we would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get to 5K subscribers by the end of the year, and the more subscribers we have, the better guests we can get for you. So you literally just take 2 seconds right now, hit subscribe. It will also let you know when new episodes go live and everything we're up to. Thank you so much. To do that, if you're lucky, you have to do 50K in sales. Pretty much, right? And you'd have to leverage $25,000 in order to do, most likely, like these are just rare numbers, versus maybe you every day on Instagram, whether it's cringy or not, you're like, hey, I'm looking for 3 people, like looking for 3 people this month, like have 1 spot left or whatever you're going to do. It only takes 1 person to do that. And then you have to figure out $25,000 worth of ASINs to buy, which is no easy feat in itself. So it's just a crazy model. And I do kind of like that idea. I think it almost makes you see what's possible. Like, too, it's like, holy smokes, like we sold X amount of spots. Like, Jesus, like this is insane. So yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Info is crazy. You want to break down some like what you could do,
Yeah, that was the
different
next thing.
levels.
On the save wave league, dude. That's exactly what I was going to do.
Okay,
So a
cool.
lot of guys, and I hate to just address Amazon sellers because what if like way more people watch this?
Well,
But
we know, so but you
yeah,
can transfer it to anything. It doesn't matter.
yeah, maybe you can, as I talk about this and break down some offers here, maybe you can think of something that really throws a wrench of like, well, build an offer for this. And like, think on this of like something that you really think I couldn't build an offer on. Some kind of niche thing, not like just fitness or whatever, but maybe make it specific. I don't know, something like that. See if I can if I can build it. Cause I got decently, this is probably my best skill of this stuff is creating these offers because people go on this pod after the pod and they talk to us about what they're doing or whatever. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to start this. People love a course, man. They think they're going to make a course and they're going to sell it 10, 15 times a month. They're going to charge $300 and they're going to be rich. It's like, that's not how it's going to work, man, at all. But that's what people love the course thing. The course model is just trash now. Courses are so not commoditized or whatever. Like everybody has a course. You can find courses anywhere. You can find courses online for free. You can find stuff on YouTube. Courses are not a great like sole info model. And then memberships, like I said before, recurring, yeah, it sounds awesome. But like when you do the math on that, it's ridiculous how many people you have to get in there. And people are going to churn in 3 months. That's just like the numbers. They churn pretty fast. You have to constantly be getting people in, and you never make that much money unless you can get tons of people. And then if that's the case, you probably could have done high ticket. I'm a big fan of the high ticket, but some sort of system to do this is better. And a lot of people too, they talk about, I'm going to start this free Facebook group and then I'm going to get people coaching clients from the free Facebook group. You don't even understand what that means either. It's like the free Facebook group is
So
so
much
hard.
work.
You have to be there all the time. And the biggest problem with running those groups, and it's the same with recurring, you have to constantly create new content. Like constantly. We've invented this series for the podcast because we're like, what are we going to even talk about anymore on solo episodes? We had to invent this series. But then we'll have to invent a new series. And it's not easy to do that and then just like talk about it. We might have just got lucky. We might not ever have a good idea again. So that's what happens. You have to constantly make new content or have people asking questions and you have to fight for their attention. There's free attention of like, do they really care this much to be active in your Facebook group when they're on Twitter all day? They're on Instagram all day. They're on YouTube. They have a job they're going to. They want to eat food. They got to go to the gym. But then you have to weave yourself in there and completely, I don't know, mesmerize them with value until they think they can pay you a lot of money. So that's not even the best way to go about either. I think something in the middle of where you have something really low cost, a cheaper course or a cheaper membership type thing to get people in the door used to paying you, like you had said, the $300 example. So they'll pay you money and really trust you and know, okay, so I'm buying this thing for $10 from this dude, but he's giving me thousands of dollars worth of value. And then eventually, hopefully you make them money and nurture them enough to where they'll pay you more for the implementation and scaling your thing. And then after that, probably something like $20 a month group, $50 a month group, then a course of $700 to $1,500. Maybe you can even skip that and go straight to high ticket, anywhere from 3 to 5K. And then boom, after that, you can do a 20K, 25K mastermind situation. That's the model I like for the Amazon thing, but Amazon has infinite things you could do. You could do a leads list variation. I've told so many people different offers, and every time they're like, well, that is a pretty good idea. So yeah, there's unlimited possibilities there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think some of probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, I like the challenge model seems pretty good. Like, or the small cohort model where you're kind of doing maybe, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And for those, it's what a lot of people don't realize is like there's always a back end. So if you're doing like a challenge and that's not even in the Amazon space, let's just say it's $200. So it's great for the person who's doing it because, for 7 days, they're getting $200 times however many people go in there. Let's say it's 100. So they're making 20 grand for 1 week worth of work, and they would probably do it anyway. So that's great. Usually they'll have a full blown course. Hey, if you like this, I got this course. And that's probably going to be, I don't know, anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And then they'll do a upsell on that, like a course end, like for the first month, we'll give you the free access to our community. But then after that, it's $50, $60. So they have like 3 different chances to kind of get you. So one person going into that could really result in like, I don't know, like 2 grand in the long run. And it kind of defeats, think about if you had a $20 per month community. Well, that person would have to spend 10 months in there. But not only do you get them for 200 for the challenge, then you'll get them, let's just say for those 10 months, you get again. So like you basically double it. So I think that's a good one. I don't know how good it is, but like I always thought like the free group was such a great way. Like, oh, we're going to build a Discord and we're going to get all these email addresses and this and that. And what that really results in is a ton of bullshit spam people that you're constantly fighting with. People who, like, when you're not paying for something, I'm not saying you have to pay for everything, but it's just different. Like, versus selling someone something, it's like they're kind of not really into it. Because if they were really into it, they would have just paid for a course or joined a paid group. They're just not as serious. Like if you want a taste of something, you could go on YouTube. Like you don't need to be in a Discord, you don't need to do all this other stuff. So I think that's kind of model's been like kind of like flipped on its head. But I'd agree with you. I really like the high ticket model. um for sure. I think that's kind of the best. So I do think there's that. So basically you could do like a paid membership group, I would say would be one. You could do coaching calls. Then I would say like a course, then maybe like cohort, 4 to 6 months, a little higher ticket, and then obviously a high ticket would be like $5,000 mentorship, and then yeah, like mastermind event could be like up there.
Yeah, I think high ticket has to be your end goal because like the
Sure.
it's just not exactly, not that you have to, I guess. There's other ways you can do it, but high ticket needs to be close to the end goal unless you could just constantly create new small offers to offer people. Like you have a different course every week on certain sections of something, which I can't even like think about in my head, so I haven't really thought that deep into it. But another big part of this is just uniqueness as well. Like I think I see this happen in the Amazon space and other spaces too. But they're like, well, this guy's killing it with this model. I'm going to just do that type of funnel. These are not models; these are funnels. He's doing that good at that funnel. I'm going to do that funnel. Man, marketing is being unique and standing out. If you do the same funnel as the guy killing it, you think you're going to beat that guy? No, you're not. You have to do something different. This is why this seminar even worked, is because I did something completely different that no one had seen before. I couldn't find it anywhere else. There was nobody that had done anything like it. So that was why it was so unique. I couldn't do it again. If it's super repeatable and it's super copyable, you probably can't do it over and over. But you can think of something unique for all scenarios of something that maybe other people aren't doing. I should have mentioned this. Another model I like and what I tell most people is, dude, if you don't want to do a bunch of marketing, you don't want to like be obliged to nurture these people and do reels every single day, throw a Calendly in your bio and then put it as a sales call. Make the sales call very exclusive. So I weed people out so you don't just have like spam basically people get on there wasting your time, and then sell them a $10,000, $15,000 info product. And if you do that 5 times a year, you're making $50,000 to $75,000, and you do it 5 times. Like you just keep that in there. You do your day to day, and you just keep that in your bio. And I think that people don't understand how simple that is. You get a few thousand followers, you're providing value every day, and you just have a calendar and you sell something that you might think, why would anyone ever pay me 10 to 15,000? Dude, people pay $50,000 for stuff. They pay $75,000 for stuff. The money is not the problem. Everybody loves to charge nothing for their coaching, which fine, I guess, but you need to charge a lot more money than you think because it's going to be way harder than you think to fill on this thing. And you're going to be invested in this person. You don't want a $1,500 person paying you. You want somebody that has more money and has more like worth to themselves. Not that if you don't have that much money, you don't have worth, but I get what I'm saying. But the more you charge, the more they're going to stay in there and the cooler people they're going to be. Everybody I charge more for my stuff, way cooler than the people I charge less for. It happens every single time. It's just the way it works. Like look at real life businesses. Like if these free groups worked, you know what they would have? Lamborghini would be giving out free samples of stuff outside. Or they would start a free. They don't do that at all. And what places even do that? Costco gives free samples, but you have to pay a membership to get into Costco. So you're just kind of getting nurtured in Costco. And that's literally what the model is. You pay a membership every single month. You go in there, they nurture you with these foods, and then you go buy the food. That's why it works. They don't stand outside and go, here's a bunch of free samples. They don't want that audience there. You can't just give away free stuff and expect people to pay you. Those are two different types of people. So I don't like that at all. And I don't ever see that work very much unless someone has a mass amount of traffic, like a Tate or somebody, then you can kind of do whatever you want. But for the average person, do not do a free group into a paid thing. It's very hard to do that.
Yeah, and so speaking from mistakes, like one of the hardest parts too is when you have a free group and then you go to paid, and then you have like now two separate groups. And like now you got to post two places, or like, oh, I can't post in the free group because I'm going to do this in the paid group. It just becomes like this massive like headache. And then you start resenting the free group because like they're not paying, they're giving you the most headaches
Yeah.
versus the paid group, and you're just like, why am I even doing this? And then you're like, well, I can't just shut down it just becomes like this whole thing. And I think if I had to do it all over again, and if I do decide to do something, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, I would definitely go like high ticket, because for me, I've taken a couple courses, let's just say in a certain area, and it's like, damn, I paid, let's just say, $1,500. I would have rather paid someone $2,000 to just walk me through the thing.
Mhm.
Like, I got the basics, which was fine, but then, kind of the nitty gritty, or like other things you could do, or like how to set this up, where do you find that? Like, could have been hammered out probably in like 2 or 3 coaching calls.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of important too. And I do like the fact too of high ticket, because people lose interest. Like, you literally, like, they're gonna go into your group or whatever, or your course, they're not gonna watch the videos or not do the thing, and then they're gonna be on to the next thing. At least with high ticket, I feel like they're kind of, it's more like, okay, I did this step, what's next? And I think that makes it so much easier for the coach and the person, because like you're now on the same wavelength. Or, I'm stuck here, can you help me? And that's like, yeah, just do this or this thing or that thing. And I think that is kind of why high tickets probably the future in courses. Like, I don't know if you see it, but on YouTube, like, that's the trend. Everyone's releasing like an 8-hour course or a 4-hour masterclass, and with the hopes that, and a lot of people are doing this, have software and groups and other bullshit that they're like pushing. They're just not making it for the good of the world. But I think that is why you're seeing that. It's like, okay, like, here's all this stuff. They get you, and I think they're doing it for 6 or 8 hours. It's going to overwhelm the shit out of you.
Then you pay
Like,
them.
oh
Then
my
you
God.
how I do this stuff.
Like, let me just go work with that person. They'll help me implement all this. Like, that's kind of the game there. And, it is what it is. And I think that's smart. Like, why not? I mean, they'll be that person that's going to sit through the 8 hours and do all the stuff, and then maybe they'll work with them. But like, that's kind of the main thing you see. Or the video includes, you know, all the softwares they use, and like, guess what? There are all these links down below, and they're an affiliate. Like, whatever, they're helping you, so you should give back to them. So I think that's kind of like where it's going, and like, why make a course? And I think the hard part about a course too, it gets outdated really quick.
Yep.
Like, if you're doing, like, let's just say a main software, or even Amazon, like, how many times have they changed their dashboard?
Yeah.
Like, now the account health page isn't there anymore, and you have like 3 videos on that, and it's like, huh, okay, like, do you go back and redo all those videos? Like, it just becomes like this massive like pain in the ass. And I don't know, I do just think high ticket is probably the best, and I do think everyone could offer a high ticket program too. You just have to figure out what you're going to offer, even if you're just like, hey, for example, if I'm like, hey, I'll show you how to sell on Amazon, and maybe you just got on a call, it's like, okay, what do you want to know? Give them that information. Okay, did you do this stuff? I think accountability is more important, and that's what you're really buying when you're buying like a high-end mentorship. I think that's more important than actually like, what do you have to do?
Yeah, I meant to talk about that the whole time, but I didn't really get into that. But I've said it 1,000 times on here. But I guess if you're a new viewer, yeah, I explained this a lot. Well, first I'll say on the thing you said, those 8-hour courses, that is genius. The thing is, give information, sell implementation. That's the whole thing there. That's what people are doing. If you're ever getting something for free, you are the product. every single time. A lead mag, information. How do I implement this stuff? Pay them for implementation. 8-hour course. What do I do with all this? They help you implement. That's how that funnel works, which is a really good funnel. And it's kind of one of the things you have to do to compete these days because there's so much information. You need to have like high quality information and give away stuff people are selling so you can sell higher ticket stuff. But anyways, all these coaching products, and this is what people do need to understand, is very important, is maybe you think you don't have anything in your life or anything you've ever done that you could sell, or, speaking off the Amazon completely, but let's just say you're a fit guy, that you're like relatively fit. And I know this happens because I forgot to tell you this, weird timing as well. One of my old coaching clients who got up to a decent bit on Amazon, but didn't really do that well. And I kind of quit at the same time that he came in, like a few months after. And I was just like, dude, you know what? I'll still mentor you. Just don't do Amazon. Start an info product. What do you know about? And he's like, I'm pretty fit and everything. He just sold $6,000 this week, a $6,000 program on Instagram. And this guy, he paid less than that for my program. So I did make him money at the end of the day, a year later, 2 years later, whatever. But I told him then, I was like, don't do the Amazon thing. Do info, do something you're good at, and just post, man. And somebody will pay you a lot of money at some time. They'll pay you more than you paid me to tell you this information. And then I helped him and like set stuff up. But I got to talk to him soon to see how much he's making, overall. But he just said he made $6,000 this week. But it's just all you're doing is selling somebody a transformation. You have something that can transform somebody else's life, and you're not even really selling just the solution. You're selling how to keep them accountable, keeping them motivated. That's all you're selling. You can just replace it with whatever. Amazon coaching, Shopify coaching, Etsy coaching. It's all the same thing. It's just you're teaching people how to make money. And you're just packaging it in a way that they find appealing. And you're trying to transform their life. You're not even really selling them how to make money. You're selling them why they need to make money and how this money is going to change their life. So the levels just keep going down there to where it doesn't really matter what you sell or what you do. You can create an info product that will change someone's life, that will make you rich. Like that you can sell to a lot of people and you can charge a lot of money for it. There's almost everybody has some. I can't think of a person that just has zero anything good in their life, that they can't sell one thing. And if you have a job, guess what? You got the job somehow. So you can sell other people how to get that job, how to apply for jobs, how to move up in your company. There's guys that have high ticket programs, $10,000, $20,000, that just show you how to move up the corporate ladder. That seems like the most reverse thing
how to get
ever.
A raise, how to
get a raise. Are you kidding me? Yeah, and people charge $10,000 for that type of stuff. Like I'll sit there and talk with you and teach you how to get a raise. How to quit being a pussy, I guess, and ask for a raise. I don't know. But it's that simple. But if someone can do that type of stuff, like the possibilities are infinite. And like anyone can do it. So if you're listening to this, start an info product, man. If you need ideas, you can message me on Instagram. I'll try to create you a little offer. I did that for people after my seminar. I tried to create a bunch of different offers for people.
Yeah, I think that's like the hardest part. It just becomes like imposter syndrome where you're just like, oh, like everything I've done, everyone already knows this, everything's so basic. But it's just really not the case for a lot of different things. Like, how to, like, for example, Drew, like, he turned 1 year older and got off his like parents' health insurance. And I was like, bro, like, this is what you have to do. Like, it's so simple or whatever. But like, he had no idea. Like, and he's like, I have like 5 days. Like, oh, just go to this website. Like, it'll be fine. So like just little stuff like that like you take for granted, or like I could probably sell something like, when should you quit your 9-to-5 job? Like based on your side hustle. And like, here are my finances. This is what I was thinking about. These are the questions I asked. I did this whole thing, and it's just sitting in a notebook somewhere. But like someone else would probably, here's like the 10 questions I asked myself. Like I had this whole chart and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know how much someone would pay for that, but like there's just certain parts or instances of your life where you're like, I just need to know this like now. And I will pay for that. So I just think you just can't overthink it. And I also don't think I think one of the biggest hesitance, it's like it almost seems slimy, like to sell something, but it's really not if you're doing it like the right way. Like I think you really have to believe in what you're selling and the opportunity. That's probably where you basically fell pretty much short on the whole Amazon thing. It's like, I could have kept the school group going infinitely, but I was just like, this just doesn't seem right. Like people are sad when I stopped it, but I'm just like, no, it just doesn't feel right. So I think you have to just really believe in it and know that it really is a good opportunity, and you will attract those people if you make like the right content.
Yep. That's a pretty good way to end it. I'll do a quick little summary. I don't know if there's another thing we're gonna talk about that I am more pro than starting an info product. I do think it's by far the best thing you can do. It's the easiest thing to get into, and it has the highest upside. It's ridiculous. That's why everyone's doing it, and why all these people that are selling you their models actually just do info. That's like the kicker. Yeah, I guess if anybody has any, I don't know, thoughts, comment below on what we've said, and if we've inspired you to start an info product, yeah, message me or message John or whatever, and I'll try to help you ideate on what to do, marketing and stuff. I'm decent at this stuff. I think I made decent money from it, and I haven't tried very hard. Could have made a lot more probably. Next episode, we will probably talk about service-based businesses. I think that's what I had in mind, or freelance, service-based copywriting type stuff. We'll probably put it all. I don't know a ton about that stuff, but I know some general things about it. So we'll talk about that. That'll be pretty cool if you want to get into some skill service-based thing. That's kind of a hot topic at the moment too. So we'll talk about that next episode. But do you have any parting words for the people?
That's it. Figure out what you're good at, how to sell it, go high ticket, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.
If you like this episode, check out the first episode of the series, The Blueprint, if you haven't yet. Or if you like this episode and want to listen to more episodes of the podcast, click that playlist over there. Thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome. Subscribe to the channel.